Hi guys, thanks for tuning into the channel today while we take the 2021 Honda Forza 350 out on its first run. So if you know nothing about the Forza, well, this is their virtually new release scooter in Australia. Been out now for about a couple of months. Available in a darker colour and this one they call a white or blue and white. It's a bit windy out here today, so I might just rip the screen up. Yeah, that makes a world of difference. So a few specs on the bike. In Australia these come in at around $9,700. Put out around 29 horsepower. Got a seat height of 780 mil. 185 kilos in weight. Got the 2-speed electric windscreen, which I found pretty good back there. Also appears to have a little bit of vibration around 50 kilometres an hour through panel fit, or could be panel fit up front, and a little bit noisy. Now, just in case you're wondering, is this my first trip on a scooter? The answer to that one's no. Prior to this one I had the new PCX160. What I can tell you straight off the bat now is, if you had plans on buying the PCX160, don't rule out that idea, because it costs you about $3,000 to get up into this scooter, and as we go through a ride on this, I'll probably tell you if I think it's worth the money to spend that extra $3,000 or just settle for your PCX160. Now back to this scooter. Instrument is analog and digital, so you've got all the information you want on front there. A nice big easy to read speedo. You've got 15-inch front wheel, 14-inch rear. There's a little bit of shakiness in the mirror when you look into them at 50 k's. We might swing out along the road and take a run out there and see how it goes a bit at speed. Got an annoying vibration there around that 50 k, somewhere coming from the front. Could be in the plastic, I'm not sure. One thing it has got is a bit of go bar. Got plenty of power, and we're back here now sitting on 80 kilometres an hour with absolutely no trouble at all. Now with the windscreen up, it's knocking nearly all the wind out of the front coming along here at around that 70, let's get up to 80. Now if I drop the screen, wrong button. Now if I drop the screen, now I'm getting, on the lower setting, a really good belt of wind right into the face. It's only a few degrees today, probably about 8. So we'll put the screen back up, and therefore more comfortable now. I do like the response from this 350 motor, it's really good. Takes off effortlessly. Like I said, this weighs in at 185 kilos. The seat height's 780 mil. Now I'm 5'9", roughly somewhere between 30 and 32 inch inseam, somewhere in that. But I have absolutely no trouble getting on and off this bike, and it's no threatening at all in any way. I mean, if you want a more threatening type of bike, try a DRZ 400 Suzuki, around 36 inches off the ground on that bike, and you really know you're on it. That bit of vibe I had running through it earlier on is not bad once you get up around this 80k mark. I would say this bike would be an easy cruiser at 100 kilometres an hour, probably 120. Like you can tell now it's really smoothing itself out. Just up a bit further over a couple more hills, so you go into 100 zone, and I'll give it a burst up to 100. Seems to handle pretty good on the road too, like coming around these bends now, swinging nice well. Had a lot of rain in the area lately, and a few of those creeks are now in flood. So seat pretty comfortable on the seat. If you're wondering what I think roughly of the power at the moment, I would say it's, for a 350, it's equal in power to some 500s I've owned. So you won't be disappointed there. There's a big difference between this bike, 350 Forza, than the PCX160. So we'll hit it up now and run it up to 100. Okay, let's go. Hey, look at that almost instant pickup. Running on 100 very, very easy. would be the time you'd buy a bike like this if you want to go out cruising along the roads at 100, and it does that quite easy, like very easy. Actually cruising at 100, it's virtually vibe free in the handlebars and in the pegs or the floorboard, and I would have to say possibly this would be the most relaxed ride I've been on any bike at 100 kilometres an hour, bar the Triumph Scrambler 900 I had a year or two ago. But this is really a great little cruiser. We'll come up to a bit of a hill up further now, and we'll just see how it runs that. One has to be a bit careful out on this road too. There seems to be a few people pulled off. Never know what they're up to. So here's this 100 up over this hill. No trouble at all. Actually a great little scooter. Looking out the rear view mirrors at 100, they've got a little bit of shake in them, so they're not perfect. I've just tried the front brake. Yeah, the front brake works alright. Naturally with this model you got ABS, not selectable, so you just got ABS, that's it, no switching. Really quite bike to ride around on too. Like this one's a bit of an incline, we'll give it a bit of power. Look at that, straight up. And this bike's only done round, I don't know, maybe 40 or maybe 50 kilometres, something like that. So we get back over here on the street, give it a little bit of gas. Yeah, look at that. Pretty quick scooter, this one. Yeah, I tell you what guys, that windscreen's pretty good. It's a really cold day out here. Look at this at 100 kilometres an hour, absolutely no trouble. And I don't want to flog this bike, and after all it's actually brand new. I bought it, not a demo, so I have to show a bit of respect. I'm on a pretty rough road at the moment too, and there's been a lot of complaints about the factory suspension, but I don't know, it's handling as good as other bikes I've been on. So I would say good enough for me. This is usually a really bad area for kangaroos, so you have to be careful, and it's an overcast with a slight chance of rain today, and you never know where they're going to be about. And the road's in such a bad mess too, with potholes everywhere, and they're going into roadworks up ahead, so I might turn around, head back to the big city. Oh, well, not that big, 40,000 people. Could be a bit of a rough old turn around here. How you going? Okay, let's head off. All uphill. Yeah, I tell you what, it's got really good pickup for a new bike. This is an uphill pull, so we'll see how this goes. Look at that, effortless, really good. Give her a bit of beans. Look at that, really good. Okay guys, earlier on I mentioned this bike against a Honda PCX, the new 160 version. Okay, I had the 160 and I decided to upgrade to a 350 for two reasons. One was a little bit windy on the 160, and two, it lacked power out on the road. Now, after riding both bikes, if you ask me which would be the pick, now if you just want to ride around town with the odd burst out along the road, the PCX160 is a very good bike. I would say one of the best small bikes I've ever ridden, but it does lack power. And if you swing over to this particular bike, it's almost 29 horsepower, and the best thing about it, you can go out along the road cruising and it runs along really easy. I'm on a really steep hill here, so I'll just see how it pulls it. So I'll give it a bit of power. I'm not giving it much, I'm just feeding a little bit of throttle on it. I'll bring it up to 100. Now I've had 500s that won't get over this hill at 100. Okay, we're going up it now. Okay, we're pulling 100. And look at that, no trouble whatsoever at 100. There's a bit of rough section here, so I'll calm it down. Really good power, so gee, I tell you what, this would easily cruise at 120 k's an hour. Won't help you much here because it's going to cost you too much if they catch you. So we're on 90, run her up to 100 now. Look at it, really quick, nice power. When the weather improves, I'm going to take this out and do a few long hauls with it. Got heaps of storage space under the seat. Now I'm cruising at 100, virtually no vibration, slight buzz in the floorboards, maybe a slight bit in the handlebars, but nothing to, absolutely no concern. It's a bit shaky when it goes over those bumps, but overall pretty good. So we're back to our 80 cruise. Now back to what I was talking about, the 350 here, the Forza, against the 160 PCX. I would think if you're you know, on the fence about either bike, you're just going to do round town running, I'd trip out along the road. The 160 is a very good bike. It too will cruise at 100. And on the flats it'll do that quite easy, but it's a bit handicapped when you get to your first hill. And that's where it loses its power, and you say to yourself, I need that bit more if I'm going out on the road, but around town it's fine. I also think the PCX160 is a lot smoother bike to ride than this one. I was very, very impressed when I had the 160 out on the road, and I actually thought the 350 may be smoother, but not the case. You've got to ride both bikes to know which one's the smoothest, and by far the little 160 is it. Now, like all things, you've got to make sacrifices, and when it comes to the crunch, where I live, I need a bit more power, and this one's got the power. Just does everything so easy. So, by the way, it seems to handle all right too, but I haven't been pushing it because naturally it hasn't got many kilometres on the tyres, and we've got parts of wet track. But this is a really good pull too up this hill. I'm in an 80 zone and its pulling is really easy. I am really surprised how good this bike goes. The big question is, what one should you buy? So if it's around town and you don't want to go out on the road, the little PCX will be the bike for you, and it'll save you $3 grand. If you want to go out and do some long haul runs, you want a bit of power, and more importantly, you want to be able to pull the hills, you couldn't go past this one. And you also got to look at it, you need protection from the wind, and this windscreen does a very good job. I put a few windscreens on bikes over the years, but I don't think none of them work as efficient as this. All the lights are LED, headlight, tail light, indicators. It only comes with electric start, no kick start on these scooters. I should say scooter all the time. Even though it weighs 185 kilos, it doesn't even feel like it weighs 185. It just feels like, say, riding a 130 kilo bike. It's a pretty big scooter when you look at it, but once on the bike, it just feels small. Feels like you get out there and hoot around and have a lot of fun. The only thing I've really got to do is get back to the dealer and find where that vibration or plastic shake's coming from at 50 k's an hour, which you'll probably see it come into it now when we drop back. I'm around that 40 now. And you can hear it rattling now. Now at 50 kilometres an hour, you can also feel vibration running through the floorboards. Anyone that's tested a bike mention any of this, and you wouldn't expect to hear it from an owner, but sometimes the best person to check what they think of stuff is the person that actually owns the machine. That's providing he's truthful. You know, some people will hold face and they could be riding a total heap of crap they bought new, but not won't face up to the fact that it's no good. Any bike I ride, you know, I like motorbikes. I'm not madly in love with them. I go through a lot of motorbikes, and I think this bike is the 44th one now I've had in the last 9 years. So I don't get there and show any favouritism. They got to serve a purpose for me. I got to get on them. I got to enjoy them, and like the idea of coming out. I've had heaps of bikes where I've had, which most people would say, geez, that's a good bike, and I just come out, look at it and think what a heap of crap, and I don't even want to ride it. And the main reason this happens is where I live, there's no such thing as a demo. You either go in and buy the bike or you don't get one at all. So, you know, that's the reason why you'll see that I go through a few bikes, because a lot of the bikes, if I would have test rode them, I wouldn't have bought them. But that's another story. The main thing is this is not a bad one, and you know, like after having the little PCX160, I just thought I'd have to try a bigger scooter and see what it was like. So hopefully this video will come out all right. Thanks for tuning in, taking a look, and I will catch up with you on a later date. And I'll drop the screen now, and you can tell how cold it is. Okay, cheers for now.